What's going on, guys? It's Jamie here, also known as the FM Hub, and welcome back to FM Scout. And today I'm continuing with my Championship Billionaire experiment. Thank you for the fantastic response on the first episode. You guys seem to enjoy this series, so I will continue to make them at the rate of one per week. Last time out, we simulated forward our first season after giving every single championship club £1 billion, and we've simulated forward now to 2017. Where we've played the second season. Interestingly, now we've seen 3 teams go up to the Premier League. It's going to be interesting to see who they sign and how they do. Also about the teams being relegated down to the Championship. So this is the Championship table for our second season. As you can see, the top of the table is occupied by Cardiff. Brighton then in second place, gaining themselves automatic promotion. Then 6th place Burnley, managing to go to Wembley and win in the playoff final. Relegated was Millwall, Peterborough and Wigan. And then the 3 clubs that got relegated, if you remember, they were Stoke, Swansea and Sunderland. Sunderland finished 1 point above the relegation zone. Absolutely terrible season for them because they don't have that £1 billion to spend, whereas everyone elsewhere is spending all this amount of cash. They can't afford to do that. In terms of transfers, which is of course what we really mostly care about, Championship is getting better. Jumped above the Danish first division. Hopefully we'll continue to move up the rankings, maybe get to top 15, top 10, that would be fantastic. As you know, these teams are getting an extra £1 billion every year from a TV revenue deal I added to all of them for the next however long, like 40 years. As you can see, the transfers, the biggest transfer was from Blackburn to QPR for £62 million, Diego Jota, who is a 20-year-old Portuguese player who actually looks fantastic. Not sure he's worth that amount of money just yet, but it's happened. Januzaj went from MK Dons to Brentford for £48 million. We saw that last time around. We saw most of these transfers. We've seen January transfers now. We see Charlie Austin moving from Cardiff to Brighton. Brendan Galloway going from Rotherham to Charlton. We're seeing really inflated prices between Championship clubs. Not too many huge signings coming from, Barcelona to Sheffield or anything like that. But I mean, the likes of Gylfi Sigurdsson to Brentford. Swansea, of course, got relegated. They snapped up Sigurdsson for £20 million. It's those sorts of signings that will make this league surge. Gnabry as well. Signings for the future. Brendan Galloway is a good player, and I know he goes on to be very good. So definitely some big transfers being made. Reece Oxford, he probably could have been a Premier League player in the future. So it's nice to see these teams preparing themselves for the future. Zivkovic went to MK Dons from Hull. Lots and lots of huge transfers, hundreds upon hundreds of millions of pounds spent on these types of players, and I imagine, I don't even want to think about some of the wages these players are on, but as you scroll down the list, I mean, even down here, for the Championship, so many players signed, even for £2.4 million, you go up the list, there's so many players for £5+ million who have been sold. Adnan Januzaj, for instance, how much is he on? He is on £150,000 per week. Jota is on 150 grand as well. Can anyone top that? Charlie Austin maybe, no, 58,000, but we're seeing inflated prices as you would expect, but the league's getting better, which is good. What about the teams that got promoted? Where did they finish in the Premier League? I hope they didn't get relegated. Let's take a look. And Middlesbrough, QPR and Brentford finishing all together in the table. Middlesbrough clinching themselves a Europa League place next year, finishing in 7th place. They were only, 5 points behind Liverpool and Spurs. QPR just below them, Brentford below them as well. Wow, fantastic seasons. Middlesbrough, especially, looking great. What's their team looking like? It's definitely a big improvement. Eric Dyer as well, they signed him. He must have been pricey. £27 million. Let's look at their transfers then. January is what we haven't seen so far. Bazoa for £44 million. Denis Suarez for £22 million. Gnabry for £26 million. Gabbiadini, £38 million. Some of the signings, of course, are unbelievable. You look at the players they've signed, they've got a great team. It's no wonder they finished where they did in the division. They've even got Oscar. It cost them £38 million, but Oscar's playing for Middlesbrough. I really do wonder how far these teams can go with that sort of investment. I'm sure they can go very far. QPR, where are they? Who have they signed? Transfers. 8th in the league will be a very solid season for them. Be very happy with that. They got Balotelli. Great stuff. Lewis Cook for £30 million. He's certainly not worth that. He's one for the future, but he's certainly not worth £30 million. Diego Jota, £62 million. Kenny Teat, Tielemans, and from Anderlecht, Pereira, Alderweireld, Keita as well. The signings are unbelievable. They shouldn't be what they are. Brentford, who is playing for Brentford? Of course, we've got Goetze. is the first one you sort of see, which is, as you would expect, the likes of Goetze. They didn't sign too many players actually in January. Ross Barkley for 42 million quid, Cancelo for £23 million, Insua for 4.1. But I mean, they signed. Their team is Januzaj, Barkley, Lukaku, Cresswell, Sigurdsson, Goetze. All you have to do is just click on their tactics and look at the team. Look at that front line for Brentford. I mean, they're not actually playing that well, but on paper, the front line is very, very good. We're going to go forward one more season. Well, we're going to go forward to the end of this summer, which will give us time to look at the transfers. Relegated from the Premier League actually was Southampton, Norwich and Crystal Palace, which is interesting now because 3 teams come up, 3 teams have stayed up, which means 3 teams from the Premier League have got to go down, and they're going to be teams that haven't just come up from the Championship. We're going to see also how Burnley, Brighton and Cardiff get on in the Premier League. That'll mostly be a next episode, but I want to see their transfers and who they're signing in preparation for next season. So let's go forward to the end of August. So now we're going to get to see the Championship signings so far, and we're going to get to see the Premier League signings also, seeing how these promoted teams will be adapting to their first few games, their first full season in the division. Let's start off with the Championship, and of course, as we expect, some huge fees. Look, lots of, look at it. I mean, that's a good signing. Halilovic went to Ipswich for £30 million. Great signing there. Lots of transfers between clubs. You can see, Reading to Preston, Wolves to West Ham, and Sheffield Wednesday to Cardiff, which are the huge signings. So it's interesting. We're definitely creating more of like a market within the Championship where hopefully we can start to sign some more big names. But definitely these types of players are setting up teams who are getting promoted. They're really setting them up with some solid youngsters. I mean, they're investing in youth. When you look at it, every team is investing in some sort of youth, which is good to see. Let's check out the Championship and check out these individually promoted clubs and see how they have done. So we have Cardiff, Brighton and Burnley. We'll start off with Cardiff. They went up as champions. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank as manager. Let's check out their transfer history for this season. They spent 125 million. Lucas Romero, Michael Keane from Sheffield Wednesday, Bruno Fernandes from Udinese, Benteke from Juventus was the cheapest one actually, apart from James Bree. Piaka from Bristol. I mean, they've signed some good players, definitely invested their money wisely. Not wisely, but they've invested money, which is the most important thing. Brighton finished in second place in the division. Who have they signed this season? They spent £90 million, so less than Cardiff. Duarte, Perrin, J. Rodriguez, Johnny. They seem to have gotten a little bit more, I feel like more bang for their buck. They haven't spent overly that much money. They're definitely capable of affording these sort of players. Good signings there for Brighton. Let's check out on Burnley as well, see how they have done. Burnley. They spent £44 million, so not as much as the other lads. A few players here or there. Mario Gomez is a good signing, 32 years old at this point, but it's nice to see him playing for a club like Burnley. Some good signings. They've started off pretty well. All of them in the top half. Down below we got Newcastle, West Brom, Villa. We got Leicester and Middlesbrough are in second place. Brentford are in fourth. QPR are in 10th. Things are going well in the Championship. Bolton at the top. Ipswich, Crystal Palace. Swansea are in 6th. But Southampton and Stoke are down in that relegation zone. It's early days yet. Next week, please do tune in if you want to see how this series progresses with all these other teams, because it's going to be interesting to see how things goes and how far the Championship can go as a division. So, make sure to follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/FMHub. Check out my March Through Europe save, which is available on my channel. I will see you guys very, very soon. Goodbye for now.